and welcome to Tech Impact. I'm your host, Jason Pereira. Today on the show, I have Larry Shumbres, CEO and founder of archive.Intel. archive.Intel is an AI-powered compliance platform for giving you one tool to basically mitigate a bunch of risk by putting a lot of the information you need, based on what the regulators are telling you, into one place and making it actionable. And with that, here's my interview with Larry. Larry, thanks for taking the time today.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it.
So, Larry Shumbres of archive.Intel, tell us about archive.Intel.
Yeah, sure. archive.Intel was started based on feedback from a lot of advisors, registered investment advisors and broker-dealers that I've worked with for over 20 years. I was talking with them about compliance and other fintech and red tech companies and products. And I was asking, what's the problem? Is there a problem out there that we could solve for? And the majority of them said, yes, there's this compliance archiving issue or products and issues that we're having, where these are old legacy products that are out there that are very difficult to use, time consuming, not great customer service, costly. Data is not easily to export. They have to pay for their exported data. And they were looking for something that was just new and innovative and modern around archiving all their communications from email, social media, website, and texting, and more so texting than anything. After talking with over 200 RIAs, we decided to build archive.Intel. And archive.Intel is a AI-driven platform around archiving and compliance, monitoring and reviewing all of your communications in one place. And that encompasses everything from your email, any social media apps and connectors, your website, and texting. Of course, SMS and messaging has been top of mind for more people these days because of all the SEC fines that have been passed down to everyone from large banks and financial institutions all the way down to the RIAs. We, again, are trying to make it just more efficient, more cost-effective, and a better client experience overall for all of our clients in the financial industry.
All right, so let's basically talk about a couple of those value propositions, a couple of those challenges. So previously, what did the previous solutions look like in terms of, and what were the real limitations there that people were really grading people?
Right. I think the biggest limitation was just the products that were available, they were siloed, right? So you would have one that does email really well, another one that is doing social media well, and then maybe one that does chat or texting. And not sure if they were doing that or not. So when you're a financial advisor, an RA, or a broker-dealer, and you're trying to do the review process that is regulated by the SEC and FINRA, and let me talk a little bit about that, because that's one of the pain points for a lot of people with these products, is that the SEC and FINRA regulate under Rule 17A-4, the fact that you have to archive and keep all that data for 6 years in the US, right? And 2 of those years of that data has to be readily available. And then on top of that, you have to randomly review all of your communications you have to randomly review 5 to 15% of all of your communications on a monthly basis. So if you have all these siloed products and you have to do that in each individual one, or try to connect those APIs to do it in one, it's cumbersome. It's not easy, and it just takes time. And what we're trying to do with archive.Intel, or what we're doing, is we're making it just easier, more efficient. So the end user, whether it's a compliance officer or an advisor, could spend more time with their client than sitting there reviewing emails that they've already sent out.
Okay. The entire siloing is a massive issue, right? The fact that a compliance officer had to go into multiple different things or monitor from across multiple different things. And there's an intelligence loss with those silos, right? Like one communication may start in one spot and move to something else. And trying to connect those things from as a compliance officer, things would get missed, or there must be a challenge there, right?
Absolutely. And even if you're some of the larger companies out there that have been archiving for 20 years or more, a lot of them didn't build it all in-house. So they went out and acquired the social media archiving companies or a texting company. And what happens there is, when you have multiple companies, a lot of different code, a lot of different APIs, it just doesn't gel. It doesn't work that well. It doesn't make it simple and easy for the end user. So when you build it in-house, and you build it with new technology, new code, and new APIs, it just makes it seamless and more efficient for the end user, and it's all in one area. So that's the one area that we saw was just the modern and ease of use. When we looked at these other platforms, just the UI alone was difficult to maneuver through, right? You open up your login screen, you're like, where do I even start here? There's just so much here. And the other issue that we saw was that a lot of these other companies were in multiple industries. So they weren't just finance focused. So you had HIPAA rules, you had government rules, you had education rules and information in there. That was confusing to the end user. We're focused only on the financial industry. And we feel that is in that small to medium sized firm range. That's where we can make the greatest impact across the board.
Yeah, they don't have the bodies to throw at the problem, and it makes perfect sense. All right, so now let's talk about the artificial intelligence overlay and like really hone in on that. So talk to me about the ways in which that helps to basically create a better experience in general.
Yeah, AI is the big buzzword, right? I was at the FINRA conference recently in Washington, D.C., and I saw a number of new vendors, new companies out there that were touting that they had AI and it was 99% efficient and working. And I just sat there and chuckled to myself because if anyone knows technology and they know AI, number one, to have a product out there today and have it 99% efficient is pretty impossible, right? Unless you're ChatGPT. I don't even think they're at 99%. So when it comes to AI, there's a lot that goes into it, right? You have to have a use case that is solving an issue or making something more efficient, number one. And then number two, you have to build out models that will learn and be able to project and change the product in the way that the workflows are in any product, right? So you can't just train them and put them in there. They have to learn. And the computers don't learn by themselves. It's all human interaction. We have to sit there and train it and teach it how it should work, right? And then over time, adjust it. It's almost like teaching a child how to walk or how to talk, right? It takes time. And they're not going to learn the whole vocabulary in 1 year. With archive.Intel and AI, two of the big use cases that we saw that would reduce a lot of time and help with the process is number one, we noticed that there's a lot of false flagged communications, right? If I say, we do not guarantee these returns, and that's either in the subject or the body or even disclaimers, and that's where we saw a lot of issues with false positives, is that it'll say, I do not guarantee, and there's a flagged word guaranteed that a lot of companies put in there that they don't want anyone to have any communication. So then as a compliance officer or whoever's reviewing those random reviews on a monthly basis are seeing thousands and thousands of these false positives that they shouldn't have to review because of those phrases or terms that are in there. So we're doing a number of things with AI to reduce that. And as I mentioned, Jason, it just takes time, right? We're training the models. I would say in 6 months, we'll start to see some better outcomes. And in about 12 to 18 months, it'll really start to be in production and more efficient for our clients. And in about 18 to 24 months, it should be great. It should cut down the redundancies of those false positives by about 85%. And then the second thing that we're doing that we hope would reduce that even more is instead of being reactive, be proactive. And what I mean by that is what we're doing today is reactive. We're sending out emails, we're sending out posts, we're texting, and then we're capturing those emails, we're flagging them for flag keywords, or what we term lexicons in the industry. And then we have to review it, right? What if we could block the emails in the first place, right? Or text before they go out or before they have any of these false positives or even, a complaint or anything that shouldn't go out in the first place. For instance, if, today we have Grammarly, we have Gmail, and an example would be if I type an email to you, Jason, and I say, hey, I'm putting in this attachment, but I forget to put in the attachment, and I hit send. You see that pop up that says, oh, did you still want to send this attachment, right? That's what we're going to do with the flag keywords. If I type in, hey, I guarantee this return, or we're going to money launder this through Nicaragua. Hopefully no one ever says that, but it'll pop when I hit send. It will pop up. AI will say, hey, you can't say this. This is a new way that you should say this, or just don't send this email at all or text. And that we feel will cut down tremendously on any of the review process altogether. Number one, reducing the false positives with AI, and then being proactive with AI in the first place. Now, not everyone's going to want the proactiveness, so it'll be an option, but I believe at least 50% or more of our clients out there will utilize those efficiencies.
Excellent. All right. So how long have you been at this now?
Really, we've been at this a little bit over 2 years, but this new company, it's been 6 months now.
Okay, 6 months. Now, in the AI time and basically training of models, there's positive inroads there. Can you talk to me about how you've seen the model evolve from when you started to where you are now?
We really recently started the models, and it's been talking to a lot of industry experts that are compliance consultants, whether they're in finance or defense, really trying to find out, number one, what are the right use cases and what can we fix? But more importantly is security, right? Do we have the right security in place for AI? Are we doing things that the SEC will approve or say that, yes, you could do that? So there's a lot that goes into it instead of just building it. So it's still going to take time for us to get to the point where we're like, yeah, this is all AI, or not all AI, but majority of it is working and efficient enough for the end user to utilize and see the returns.
Excellent. All right. So talk to me about user feedback in general. So the ones who basically went from the old painful mechanism, what are they telling you? What are the compliance departments saying about your product?
Yeah, it's been great, right? The feedback has been super positive. Everything from thank you, it's so much easier to use. We heard it's delightful just to log in and see something that's easy to click on, right? You don't get that too often in our industry. So shockingly enough, just the UI sometimes is selling the product, Jason. We'll do a demo, and within the first minute, the financial firm will say, just stop there. We're already sold. Like it just already looks so much easier to use than what we've used in the past. I think that the one thing that I've done over my career is listen to the client, find out what the pain points are. If we have 10, 20, 30 or more clients asking for the same thing to add or change in the product, we're going to add it. We're going to change it. We're going to make it easier. And simple things that we've added in our product already are just like, hey, I just want to be able to export my data without having to call customer service, without having to pay for it. Can I just export it, right? So we added export buttons almost on every page. You could also just run quick reports and export your data that way. So it's just small things like that you think are in other products that just aren't there today. So as we continue to build out the product and make it better for our clients, the majority of that's going to come from the feedback from our clients.
Excellent. All right. That's where you are today. Like how, in terms of productivity gains, like how much are you getting benchmarking on how much time is being spent or how many more cases they're catching that are relevant versus false positives?
Not yet. It's something that we're still testing. We just know that from the conversations we've had with clients and prospects, we just hear
your happiness benchmark is doing incredibly well, but you think you need to back that up with some productivity benchmarks, is what you're saying.
Yeah, because we hear clients like, hey, I had 400, flagged emails yesterday, and then today I have 1,400. And when we went in and looked at it, it was basically because we had either spam coming in or one company sent it to one company sent an email to everyone in our company multiple times, whether it's a false positive or something like spam coming in. We've also addressed that in the product. So we've been able to blacklist domains. And instead of manually having to go in and blacklist the domain or an email, we've added alerts. So some rules in the background, a little bit of machine learning, where if we see like XYZ investment company send a company like hundreds or thousands of emails, then an alert will pop up for the admin or the compliance officer and say, hey, do you want to blacklist this domain? And they just click yes and automatically blacklist it. And then the other way that we've helped with that is if we see all this spam or we're getting a lot of emails from one company, we just go in and do a quick bulk review, go into the search, say XYZ company. It'll pull all those emails up, click bulk review, and then be done with it, right? And move them out of that review process. So a number of things that we're doing to reduce that based on the feedback from our clients.
Excellent. All right. This is where you are today. Where do you see this going? How do you see it continuing to develop?
To kick the trend that's going on out there with AI, but I believe that AI will be able to the product will be able to run on its own. I'd say about 85 to 90% of the time, and I'd say anywhere from a year to 2 years. We'll still need human interaction, right? We'll still have to have someone come in and say, okay, yeah, the random review is done if the SEC allows that, right? And there'll just be like any small folder there where it says escalated. So if there's anything that needs to be reviewed by a compliance officer or higher up, it'll be in a separate folder. So again, I believe that AI will be able to really reduce the time that all these companies are spending on reviewing client communications. One area. And then the other area I think we could dive into a little bit more based on all the data that we're collecting is, can we pick up on the tones of emails? Is someone complaining or swearing or something like that? If it's all caps, or again, just like the tone of an email, is it a complaint? Or is there insider trading going on? Is there a way to utilize the AI and the data to pick up on any type of insider trading? So that's where I think we could expand AI. As for archive intel, some of the feedback that I'm getting from some newer clients is that, can you expand into other compliance areas? Instead of just doing the archiving and monitoring compliance area, can you get into other areas of compliance? And that's something that we'll probably look at maybe later this year or early next year. And I'm not sure if we would necessarily go build something. Maybe we'd partner with the company and integrate with them, or acquire.
Yeah, it's the tonality issues and knowing what in AI, and it's an interesting one because it's also pretty tone deaf in its own responses too. But the the entire finding things like insider trading, I think the thing that excites me in this context, at least being on the side of the good guys, is quite frankly, I think it's the ability to uncover, I won't call them conspiracies, the ability to uncover malfeasance that would otherwise go undetected, because the human eye would not be able to put together the framework or the patchwork of information the right way and find these things. So that's an interesting promise of being able to next level our fraud detection and basically our compliance issue detection.
Yeah, I don't know if we have it on as an idea, and we want to definitely look into it later. Can we solve for it? We'll see.
Yep, it's definitely a hope. All right. Okay, so fair enough. So basically, you've put together a pretty straightforward offering, but one that is just, you found a better way and you've overlaid some more modern technology and you're delivering faster, better, more efficient value. Well done. So before we wrap up, there's 3 questions I ask everybody to end on a positive note. And the first one is, if you had one wish for something to change in your company or the industry as a whole, what would it be?
Oh, that's a great question. Industry as a whole, I would say overall, if all the other tech companies can keep their APIs updated to make it easier for everyone to easily integrate and have it more seamless for the end user, that would be my number one wish, so they don't have to log into multiple products all the time and to get their work done.
Yeah,
it's a big wish.
Yes, yeah, no kidding. Stewardship of API content in libraries, or just having proper documents in the first place. That's a good one. Yeah, I hear you. It's amazing frustration. Second question I have for you is, what's been the biggest challenge in the company to where it is to date?
Oh, biggest challenge is just trying to get everything done fast, right? Speed to market, I think, is critical these days, and not just speed to market, but getting it right. Pushing a product out or a new feature or functionality that works, right? And it works. That's, I think, the biggest challenge today. And then keeping up with a bigger challenge, and Michael Kitces mentioned this in an article recently that he posted about is that the connectors, the policies, are the APIs are always changing. So staying on top of every individual connector that we have, as well as all the new policies that are being passed down by the government around data, It is crucial that we are on top of that on a daily basis. And it's something that keeps me up at night.
Yeah, it's when you really break it down, those are the two core functions of what you're doing is sucking in data and then policing it properly. And that is the entirety of your value proposition. So you better nail that. That's all I'm saying.
Not only nail it, but also the security around it is
100%.
right around the data. So I've been lucky enough I went to college with a number of friends that are engineers that work for the government and defense and have high security clearance. And I am always trying to get any feedback from them to see, do we have enough security? Is it the right security? What else can we put in place? Everything from ransomware on backlog data, et cetera, to just to make sure that it's locked down and we don't have any issues for our clients.
Yeah. It is you're a honeypot of data, an enormous honeypot of data. So frankly, security better be, if we're going to talk about your three pillars of your value proposition, security's got to be one of them for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cost is user friendly, easy, all in one. A lot of companies tout that, but when it comes down to it, is it really efficient? Is it working well for the client? And yes, that's what we're pushing. Also, cost. We're not out there trying to lock people into 3-5 year contracts and make them pay for more than what they're getting. We have a SaaS-based model that's simple and easy starting at $99 a month for the first 3 email users and connectors. So I think it's cost efficient. We're not trying to gouge anyone. We're trying to make this the best product with a great return on investment for them.
Excellent. The last question I have for you is, what excites you about what it is you're working on and keeps you getting up and out of bed in the morning to keep on fighting the good fight?
This industry is constantly changing and evolving, and there's so much technology that's coming into play, whether it's new connectors, new apps that advisors are using, new AI. It's happening fast, right? And if you don't stay ahead of it, you're going to be left behind. And it's fun to hear and be on calls with financial firms every day and hearing, hey, can you do threads? Can you add threads? Can you connect and archive threads or Pinterest or TikTok? And it seems like it's something new every day. So that's what is exciting. It's the challenge. It's getting that API, being able to archive it for our clients and do it the right way and do it the best way, right? Because I think at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is solve for the inefficiencies in the industry around archiving all this data, which they should, right? I don't believe that firms should say, only do email, do not communicate any other way, or only use LinkedIn, or only use this. That's never going to work. Or just use this separate phone. That's never going to work. Let them use what's out there and just archive it. We could do it for them, and we could do it easy. It's not that hard. It's not that hard.
It also denies the clients like basically ability to dictate the way that they wish to communicate. Like, end of the day, they have agency, and they are going to use it to communicate with us in whatever's most comfortable to them. And to think that we are just going to ram them into a square peg, into a round hole constantly, or they're going to text us and we're going to be like, I'm going to move this over to email every freaking time. But it's just a ridiculous friction and fails to acknowledge the modern world. So yeah, I'm with you. End of the day, your ability to make that easy for people is a welcome change, because the entirety, you're restricted to only 3 channels in a world where you have 12 different channels of options that people are going to communicate with you, and is just caring more about your concerns and your obligations than it is about the client experience. And both matter.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. Excellent. So thank you so much, Larry. Very much appreciated.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. So that was my interview with Larry from archive.Intel. If you're in the market for a compliant and let's call it omni-channel AI-driven tool for recording all your communications, be sure to take a look. As always, if you enjoy this podcast, please review on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, take care.
This podcast was brought to you by Woodgate Financial, an award-winning financial planning firm catering to high net worth individuals and their families. To learn more, go to woodgate.com. You can subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play, or find more episodes at jasonpereira.ca.